Hello, this is the Sheldon Heights Church of Christ History Project called the 90th Nine Voices. And I'm your moderator, Joseph Olalusi. And in this series, we'll talk to 9 different voices that'll ultimately bring us to date as to how Sheldon Heights and all its culture and all its impact have come to be in its 90th anniversary. Each episode will have its own theme and ultimately bring us to date on how the church came to be what it is today. Regardless of your religious background, regardless of your culture, we hope that this history project inspires you to realize that history is being made at this very moment and that you're a part of it. Without further ado, let's dive in.
Graduated from Michigan Christian College, Brother Lemmy Nichols, who was the assistant minister to Brother Samuel Jordan, who was my father in the gospel. I remember July 17th, 1978, the year before I graduated. After 1 year, he said, "Man, you ready to preach?" After 1 year, man, first of all, I was a stutterer. Everybody that knew me knew there was no way I was going to be able to be a preacher because I had a major stuttering issue. In fact of the matter, when I did get up and preach that sermon. I recorded it. I have never listened to it. I got to find the tape again of it, but I did preach it, and I was nervous as all get out, and that began a preaching career in July 17th, 1978. The first time I preached at the Sheldon Heights Church of Christ. In 1981, after graduation, and became the minister of this church in 1995, January. So this will be the completion of a long journey, God. In fact, this completes, if I'm counting right, completes 26 years. I have to go back and just count, but it's been a glorious journey, and I'm thankful to God for all that he's done.
The work with Brother Gilbert has always been, a successful mission. And now we're bigger and better things, because we know one day we're going to have to step aside. So we're trying to do all we can with the time that we have left here, here on earth to inspire those to pick up, where we are, and hopefully find the dream, find the understanding that my grandfather had years ago, which today is still alive.
As you grow older, you got to look for passing the baton, and I always try to do that, even in leadership, and not only leadership, but even in our song service. I pass that on to other young people. I couldn't continue that on. So I had to try to develop people, and of course, Craig Harding is one. Will Smith is another one. I used to have a singing class there at Sheldon Heights. I was training young men, my son, Jawanza Shannon, and there's probably a couple more that we used to have a singing class that they would come to, and I would work with them in developing them as song leaders. And they've taken over. They've taken over my spot. Craig Harding, Will Smith, my son Tony, Jawanza, they all sing. And not only with this congregation singing, but they've taken over the chorus. I pass that off to them as well to continue that work on. They have to build their legacy, and then they pass it off to somebody else, because we're only just passing through. We're not going to be here forever. So we have to make sure that the work continue by developing people and passing it off to them.
I started working with the Youth Development Committee at Sheldon Heights with that deal was over, and just helping out, getting in where I can fit in. And then he kind of started to groom me for that position and groom me for that position. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just working with the youth. And then once he was starting to elevate to do more of the ministerial work, he needed to free some of the other things that he was involved with. So I was going to school for psychology. My goal was to be a school social worker. I was going to be counseling young people, work with DCFS. You know, I work with Illinois Department of Corrections with the youth juvenile unit. So it was like everything was kind of like happened when you look back in history. Like God was putting stuff, just like God had David wrestling bears before he dealt with Goliath. You know, God had me doing stuff, you know, that will prepare me for being the youth minister at Sheldon Heights. I began to appreciate what the church had meant for me and was doing for me, and the time that people took out, you know, to mentor me, to give me advice, and to be like Brother Gilbert, the youth pastor, or Brother Carter, when he was the youth minister, Sister Aubrey, when she was over the youth harmonizers and working. So all the people throughout the years, you know, I kind of started to appreciate and, you know, the efforts that they were making to try to help those young people from, you know, just going astray.
Well, I worked for several years as the chair of the Anniversary Appreciation Committee. Worked for several years until Sister Olga Hart stepped in to take my spot, and she had worked with me, and I saw that it was time. You know, I'm not the kind of person who wants to hang on to a position forever. I think you should train others to come up, because at some point, you know, you run out of ideas, so you need to bring in some new blood, some new ideas. And
it is kind of interesting the way it all kind of like, it was like one of those in the true essence of the word destiny. You know, you don't control it, you don't know what's gonna happen, it's just out of your control, and it actually happens. You know, it was kind of the destiny, you know, of it. So, and plus, you know, I was kind of like I probably couldn't work with too many people. I was like you know, really like progressive in my approaches to working with the youth and doing stuff that maybe had never been done at Sheldon Heights before. That I know if Dee wasn't the minister, I wouldn't have been able to do. They would have shut it down, because Sheldon Heights has always been, you know, kind of conservative. So, you know, so it was kind of, you know, it was a good combination with, you know, Dee's wisdom and guidance, and with, you know, my vision of where I wanted to take the youth program and the ministry. It was just a perfect storm.